Hey, what's up, fam? Welcome to tonight's episode of 49 Faithfullee. I'm your host, Miriah Lee, and tonight I'm joined by a very special guest, Bashar from 49er Minded. Bash, thank you. I appreciate you filling in for TL, who knows what the hell he's doing.
Oh, he obviously he's doing something good. I mean, he's got a busy life, and I was pissed. I was pumping my fist because the music had my earbuds jamming, so I felt like I was at the club, But shout out to TL, great dude, awesome dude. I love this show. I'm a big fan of the show. I'm also like to say I'm friends with you guys, or you can call me family, whatever you want to call me, and I'm honored to be here. So,
thank you. Say what's up to the people in chat. John V was here, like 2 hours ago, asking where the hell everyone's at, So maybe that's because you're 2 hours early. Nobody was here. So he was just in the chat talking to himself for a while. Dave, the OG, appreciate you. Joe Mahoney, Snapple Facts in the house. DJ Malone, Tia, appreciate everyone. The little goat. Appreciate you guys.
Getting me the dream to 1,000 subs.
Get us all to 1,000 subs. Go.
Exactly.
Call your grandmas.
And not those Italian footlong subs, though.
Yeah. Speaking of Italian footlong subs, let's get right into it. I know, you kind of had your instant reaction and all that. So now that you've got to stop and sit back and think about how things went down this week with Jimmy G for now, I still personally think he's going to get traded, but for now, as the backup to Trey Lance, how are you feeling?
I gotta give a huge shout out to my boy OG and just say one of his famous quotes on this one. He's a backup. So how do I feel? Great question. How do I feel? I don't even know how I'm feeling right now. Well, we could say this. I slept on it. So I'm not gonna be, barking like a dog, angry dog, and start dropping F-bombs left and right. But it doesn't mean I'm not gonna drop any F-bombs for the show. They'll come out eventually, but I'm gonna try to be a good boy right now. But oh my gosh, like this is how I feel. He's on the team right now. I can do nothing about it. You can do nothing about it. No matter how much money we pay to go to these games, no matter how much money to wear this apparel and, wear all this Niners stuff, it doesn't matter. They don't listen to us.
Hold on. Does this look like TL to you? Are you colorblind or?
I gotta start talking. Well, this is TL. Well, I like to go to Porter Subs. Yeah, Porter Subs is off the chain. But my Orlando Magic just drafted Paolo Banchero, and Joey Mahoney thinks he looks like Trey Lance, and I was trying to tell him they don't look alike. I don't know if that sounds like TL, but I tried.
You made him so country. I don't know. He's from California, lives in Vegas. I don't know if he's country.
I tried. TL's probably gonna kill me. He probably hates me now, dude.
All right, keep going. Sorry.
Well, we're talking about Jimmy, right? Yeah, I mean, we're gonna have to accept it. I guess it sucks, but okay. The great thing is this, obviously. So at the time when I went on my rant, I was unaware of the whole compensatory picks that we might get. So, or a pick that we might get was a third rounder. It might be a fifth rounder. I don't know. So we might get something for Jimmy, which is cool. It's not like we're going to be out of this empty-handed. I was ready to close the book on Jimmy. You were ready to close the book on Jimmy. We all were. So
I already closed it.
Yes. I mean, when Steve Young mid-season in the year 2000 went on his rant after Jimmy got hurt against Seattle in the mid-season of 2000, Steve Young told the media, told KNBR, told everybody that the 49ers are probably going to move on from Jimmy and expect them to move on from Jimmy. And at that point, in the 2020 season, I was like, yeah, I'm off of this Jimmy train. I supported him like crazy, but he did some good things for us. I get it. Obviously he made mistakes. We all know that. I don't need to mention that. But at the same time, I'm off the Jimmy train. Let's see who's out there. All these names kept flying around, and a few friends of mine kept telling me about Trey Lance, Justin Fields, and when draft time came around, I was like, cool, man, we got the guy. To answer your question, DJ Malone, I'm a huge Golden State Warriors fan. Been a fan of them since 1989, you can say. And I love the Warriors. I'm obviously really happy that they won another championship. I used to be a big A's fan back in the day, but I walked away from baseball a while ago. And if the San Francisco Giants win a championship, hey, more love to them. But Yeah, this Jimmy thing, man. What can we do? Here's my deal with Jimmy. This is the end all be all. If he's on the team right now, it's like whatever. But Trey Lance better not have a short leash. And there's Niner fans out there who are throwing all these possibilities. Well, what if Trey Lance goes 0-4 in the first 4 weeks of the season? Is that when we put Jimmy G in? Or what if Trey Lance goes 2-4 to start off the season? Is that when Jimmy G comes in? And like they keep drawing up all these negative Nancy scenarios for Trey Lance as if he's some fucking bum, as if he's some fucking piece of shit that we had no business drafting, and he has no business wearing a 49er uniform. And it doesn't matter because eventually Jimmy G's gonna go back in there and save the day for this franchise. That's the scenario they keep wanting to draw up. It's like, what about the scenario of Trey Lance playing kind of like a game manager, or with a game manager with a deep ball and getting us wins, or maybe going 500 and on his early first 4 weeks? I mean, these guys are just drawing up scenarios like he's just total trash, and who cares if he's on the roster? We're gonna put Jimmy G in there anyways. That's how I feel about it.
Yeah, I agree. That's all. Like, even in the spaces, it's just people constantly that, are trying to make reasons why it's so good that Jimmy's on the team. That's all you hear from him. Well, what if Trey Lance goes 0-2? Well, what if Trey Lance goes in and gets hurt? Well, and it's like, okay, so Trey Lance by himself is going to go 0-2, 0-3, 0-4, whatever it is. Like, it's just Trey Lance on the team now. He does it all by himself. It's not, oh, what if the defense struggles, or what if, this. It's, oh, if Trey Lance goes in and goes 0-2, then it's time to put Jimmy in. And it's like, you're not even giving the kid a freaking chance, So that's my thing. Like, if it was just Purdy backing him up, and say Trey did go in and go 0-2, which, like, I highly fucking doubt, right? But would they be calling then for Purdy to come in and take Trey Lance's job? No, because it's their little sweetheart Jimmy, and that's what I hate about this, and like our biggest thing, that we've all been talking about is the distraction that it's going to cause and all this. And it's like, and I know you don't listen to the pressers, but today's presser was Trey Lance and then Jimmy Garoppolo. That was it. That's the only two that had pressers, besides John and Adam Peters in the morning, but that was completely a separate thing. And they asked Trey probably 15 questions, we'll say. Every single question was about Jimmy Garoppolo. Every single question. Not one single question about anything else. And this is the first fucking day. So this is going to go on like throughout the entire season. Every time Trey Lance gets done playing a game or win, lose, whatever, he's going to get up there and have to answer questions about Jimmy Garoppolo.
It's like, hey, Jimmy, could you turn your face for us and smile and give us that grin? Come on. It's like, it's just so ridiculous. These people are just so enamored with the personality of Jimmy G. I'm just sick of it. Again, I saw his pictures. I saw his videos. Yeah, no, I do got to watch my blood pressure when I talk about Jimmy. Jimmy G is the only 49er quarterback that made me pop pills during games. I mean, I'm talking like taking Excedrin, because I get migraines. So I'm like popping Excedrins, watching the damn games in the playoffs and towards the end of the season. I never did that for any other 49er quarterback.
And Dave has cases of Pepto, so
there you go.
This week.
Hey, do what you ever got to do if he ever steps on the field, I don't remember what I was going to say. I just got sick of seeing all these pictures like, oh, well, here's Jimmy G walking a video on Instagram or somewhere. Here's Jimmy G walking on the practice field. It's like as if Jesus Christ was reincarnated. And it's like, get out of here. Who cares? He's the backup quarterback. He is the backup quarterback. He's a backup.
Yeah, every time, and that's funny that you had brought up, OG to begin with, because every time since this whole thing went down that we signed him as a backup, and anytime somebody says, Jimmy G about being a backup, I hear it in OG's voice. Like, I cannot hear Jimmy G being a backup without hearing it, like, and have that replay in my head.
That voice is going to resonate in your head until eternity.
Yeah, because we're just so used to freaking hearing that.
It's the Twitter thing. It's the Twitter thing, guys. If you're not on Twitter, you don't know.
Most of them know. Pretty much, I think everybody in here knows. But yeah. And that was the thing, too. They're posting all these videos. Oh, look at Jimmy throwing next to Trey Lance. Look at Jimmy warming up on the field with the team. Look, it's like our the other 31 teams, is the media paying that much attention to the backup quarterback on the team? Like, more, you know, the backup quarterback's now getting more attention than our freaking starting quarterback in his first year as a starter. You know, and it's like, yeah, Trey can go up there and say whatever he wants, you know, that, oh, it don't bother me, Jimmy's a great guy, you know. At the end of the day, and this is this thing I keep coming back to that I've said since this happened, when they said, oh, well, Shanahan talked to Trey about it before it went down, and Trey said it was that he was cool with it and blah, blah, blah. It's like, what is Trey supposed to fucking say? He's a 22-year-old taking over the franchise in his first, you know, for the first year. And you want him to tell the head coach of the fucking 49ers that comes to him, talking about the quarterback that's taken, you know, been with this team when they went to the Super Bowl, to the playoffs. It's been there for the last how many ever freaking years. And you want Trey to say, no, I'm not okay with that. Like, so that Shanahan can say, okay, then you sit your ass on the bench, you weak bitch. Like, at the end of the day, like, what is he supposed to say? You know, of course he's going to get up there at the press conference and say, oh, this is wonderful. I love having Jimmy here. Just a couple weeks ago, he got up there and told us how much he loved freaking Sudfield. That you know, that was one of his closest friends, that he learned so much about, you know, from him, that he was so excited to go into this year having him behind him and all that. Well, now he has to get up there and say about Jimmy. Does that mean he's telling the truth?
He told the truth.
Yeah, the Jimmy fans, that you know, it's like I've seen them post more about Jimmy in the last 2 days, like celebrating, and it's just like, and that's all. I mean, coming back to.
You think he would have won Super Bowls? You think he would have won Super Bowls with us?
Yeah, that's like, oh well, if Trey Lance goes 0-2, put Jimmy in there. It's like, so if that were to fucking happen, do you think that Jimmy would have not, you know, would have went 2-0 in the same position? No. If Trey gets in there and for whatever reason the team goes 0-2, they would have done the same with Jimmy in there. So what, you know, like, that's my thing. Like, and then so what? We're gonna put Jimmy in and stunt anything that Trey Lance has, because you're gonna kill his fucking confidence. You're gonna kill everything. The whole thing is he needs reps. Well, he'll be back on the bench, so he won't be getting reps, right? And then what happens next year? We got to start the whole fucking process over again. It's like, it's just crazy. Like,
it's a revolving door. It's so stupid. And this is what I don't get. I mentioned the whole thing. They act like Jimmy's won Super Bowls, but another thing is like they act like they act like when Jimmy's on the field, it's mistake-free football. You know, it's like, yeah, where have you been? Jimmy makes plenty of mistakes. Why have a veteran out there making mistakes when you can groom somebody, you know, for the better of his and development of his career? And if he makes mistakes, so be it. Guess what? He's going to learn from his mistakes and flourish them for so forth and get better and develop. I don't know. It's just so, I'm so sick of this. I just hope Trey just balls the hell out from here on out.
Yeah, I really hope. And of course, you know, like once you sit back and look at it, okay, it's great. You know, everybody wants to keep saying, oh, we have the best backup in the league. Oh, fine and fucking dandy, right? Whoop-de-doo. I hope to God that we never have to see that backup, you know, unless he's doing mop-up duty because we kicked the shit out of some team, you know, and Trey already came out of the game.
Might see in week 1. You never know if we stop the Bears early on.
It's like, but, you know, like my whole concern is that, you know, if whatever happens, we could go 2-0, we could go 3-0, 4-0, 5-0. But if Trey Lance has up and down play, which I'm expecting, you're expecting, we're all expecting, right? Are you going to have Kittle then going to Shanahan asking to put in Jimmy Garoppolo? Are you going to have Debo going to Shanahan asking to put in Jimmy Garoppolo? Eric Armstead, you know, all these Jimmy guys? Like, when becomes the time that they've had enough dealing with this young quarterback and they're going to go, you know, want to put in their guy?
Yeah. I said this, I had Barry Baller on yesterday and I said this there and I'm just saying this because I'm assuming this is the truth. This should be the truth. This should be what every NFL coach does in terms of protocol. And when you have a new quarterback in the mix, not sure what time it was said. I'm assuming it was right around time in the mini camps, but I'm pretty sure, at least I hope so. I'm pretty sure Kyle Shanahan briefed the team rallied the troops and did this way before the media, way before he told the media straight out that Trey is the number one quarterback. So I'm pretty sure he briefed all these guys and all these players months ago to them, bet it in their skulls that Trey is the number one QB. I hope he did. I know, obviously, we know he told the media, but they should know this season to back up Trey, defend Trey. And sure, when Eric Armstead told the media that, oh, well, Jimmy saved us. We were nothing before him. Jimmy saved us. Like, well, he needs to move on from that. Everybody who's defended Jimmy in the past needs to move on from that, because Trey is our guy now, and that's who they need to defend.
Yep. I want to say what's up to everybody who joined us since. Melissa, what's up? Sean, sorry for making your ears bleed. Throwback, what's up? Swan is a guy. Like, what are you talking about?
Swan's a man.
Swan is a male swan.
Who thought he was a girl? I missed that comment.
I don't know. I had just saw that somewhere. Like, oh, sorry, Swan. I thought you were. I don't know. I don't know where it went.
Every now we go off topic.
Oh, right here. I thought Swan Song was a dude. No disrespect.
Oh, that's easy. I know who that is. I know that's easy. Niner, you love to hate. That's funny. That's Swan Song was a dude. You're in the same Facebook Messenger chat with him. He's always on there.
Well, hey, Easy. Appreciate you stopping by. Let's see. I thought somebody else had came in that I missed. Oh, yeah. Sin. I appreciate you coming through, sis. Hope you're doing well. But yeah, let's pull away from Jimmy Garoppolo for a little while.
Good idea.
I'm sick of his ass. Let's go on to another Trey. Trey Sermon was waived, and during the presser this morning with John and Adam Peters, John had talked about how pretty much, that Sermon got beat out, and that even though it's an undrafted guy that beat him out, that they couldn't just, look at Sermon and say, go buy draft stock. He goes, a lot of teams will hold on to a player, which the 49ers used to do too. Will hold on to a player just because he was drafted in a high round, even though, he's not working out there. And pretty much, he said, like, we couldn't do that. Mason came in and beat him out, and that, we couldn't let him go. And however, he said, we're really hoping that he comes back, and we can get him onto the practice squad. But he also said that in this last couple weeks, he said that they didn't call teams, fielding, trying to trade him, but that teams called the 49ers asking, to trade for Sermon. So he said that, there were a couple teams that, he had talked to. So I'm like, there's no way he's going to clear waivers, if teams were actually interested in him. And sure enough, I think it was the Eagles, right? Yeah. The Eagles. Yep. They picked up Sermon, and Sermon and Hurts had played together in college, correct? So that's reuniting college quarterback with college running back, I believe.
So, Sermon played at Ohio State and he played at Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Didn't Jalen Hurts play at Alabama, if I'm not mistaken?
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
I thought before that he played at Oklahoma, though, too.
Yeah, Ohio State. It was Ohio State and Oklahoma.
Yeah, so they played at Oklahoma together.
Oh, maybe Jalen Hurts did. So it's hard to keep up with these guys that transfer from school to school.
But So I first, what are your thoughts? Were you mad that they had first of all kept Trey Sermon on the team? How did you feel when you first saw that and them keeping all those running backs? And then your thoughts on them waiving Trey Sermon. And then your thoughts on Trey Sermon obviously not making it back to the team, which at this point we have no running backs on the practice squad. So if something happens, God forbid, we're going to be pulling running backs off the street again.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not too worried about it because we do a pretty good job of picking up running backs, that are waiting around for a job from other NFL teams. I just think there's a lot of running backs that are dangling around that are capable and of having success in our system. Case in point, JaMychal Hasty and some other guy. Jordan Mason was undrafted, and So I'm not really too worried if we pick up somebody who possibly had a good preseason with some other squad and still dangling around. It wouldn't surprise me at all. Not sure who would it be, but there's always 2 or 3 of those guys dangling around that we can always find. So, but I'll go back to Trey Sermon. When we first drafted him, that was cool. Like, oh, we're gonna have Trey in the backfield, and
Yeah.
I saw his highlights at Ohio State, and he looked cool and whatever. And then when he played in the Eagles game, that one game against the Eagles where he had a substantial amount of carries, he was primarily running in between the tackles, but he was getting good yards. And he piled up like 86 yards, but then lo and behold, I believe he took a knee to the head, if I'm not mistaken, and I think not sure if his helmet fell off, but he suffered a concussion that game, and it sucked because he was having a really nice game. But from that point on, he definitely got healthy after that, but he was nowhere to be found on the field. That's for sure. After that, I mean, so and I used to wonder, like, why don't we play this guy if we're always have to worry about Elijah Mitchell being banged up and him not being ready week in and week out. We'll always read the injury reports, hoping that Elijah Mitchell is going to be healthy because he always had something going on with his calf or his ankle or something. Jack Hammer called it leg fatigue or whatever. So yeah, but it's like. So I was always curious, like, when are we going to use this guy? People were like, oh, well, they're going to use Trey Lance next year when we have Trey Sermon why I got that mixed up. They're going to use Trey Sermon next year when Trey Lance is a quarterback because it's going to because Trey Lance isn't going to be, throwing to the middle of the field the whole time like they did with Jimmy, and the middle of the field isn't going to be clogged. Therefore, Sermon can run up the middle and have those lanes open. But obviously, preseason, I just saw a lot of bad vision from Trey Sermon. I wanted him to be successful. I wanted him to do well, but we didn't see it. What can we do? I mean, if he's not panning out and we got other guys, we drafted TDP. We already have Jeff Wilson. We already have Elijah Mitchell. We got Jordan Mason waiting in the wings who had a really nice preseason. And like, what can you do? You're not going to sit around and stick with a guy, when we have we need other spots on the roster at other positions, maybe he was good enough to make the team, but it's just a numbers game at this point. And I'm not crying over spilled milk that he's gone. I want him to do well, but it is what it is. I mean, he's gone. But I don't think we really had trade offers for him either, unless there was some team that was in love with him during the draft. And, that might have been the case. But any team who saw what he did this preseason, it was pretty lackluster. Even that last preseason game, I saw moments where he had a couple of nice runs here and there, but the final stat sheet was 2.5 yards per carry. Again, I think his vision and his timing on the runs and where he chooses to go, it's not ideal. And maybe he figures that later in his career, but it doesn't seem likely. Usually the good running backs start off good right away, and then they taper off. Just my 2 cents.
Yeah, like it just seemed like, I don't know if it was something mental to where, like, he was just in his head. Like, it got to a point where he was in his head. Like, why are you back there fucking dancing? Like you said, in college, we've seen that he picked a fucking hole and went. He wasn't back there dancing around like that. So it's like, why all of a sudden you get to the pros and you start dancing? Like, because it's bigger guys that are about to hit you, because Shanahan said you have to run like this, and that's not how you're comfortable running. Like, I just don't understand. Like, it seems like something just didn't click with him. Like, and even like you said, this last preseason game, like, there was that one run where he runs right into the pile, to the back of the pile, and then he tries to bounce out and go right, which everybody is, yet the whole entire left is empty. So then he goes back to the pile and then finally wants to bounce out and go left. Well, now everybody's there, right? So it's like, if you would have just hit and bounced out left to fucking begin with, you would have had a whole open field. No, you want to bounce out and hit right in the back of your offensive line. It's like, these are scrubs that are playing on the offensive line at the time, like, I don't know. And people like wanted to give him so many excuses, and it's like, they gave him every chance, I felt like, during this preseason. Like, I felt like he got most of the carries, right? It's like, they're giving him the opportunity to show us that you can, do what we need you to do. And he's not doing it. And then they put in Mason, and he's freaking going crazy out there. It's like that. I was so scared that they were going to end up, waiving Mason just because of freaking where Trey Sermon was drafted. And since he was just drafted last year and they moved up in the draft to get him and all that, blah, 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 So I really didn't think, because, John wants to sit up there and say, oh, some teams hold on to players, but, well, you guys do the same shit, up until this point. we saw you hang on to freaking Jalen freaking whatever Hurd.
Not heard.
Never even one fucking snap in the regular season game. Yet we had him taking roster spots. You know, like, so I seriously thought they were going to hold on to Trey Sermon and let Mason go. And I knew Mason there was no way he was going to clear waivers. And obviously, if Trey Sermon didn't clear waivers, you know, there was no way Mason was. So, but I'm glad, you know, obviously I hope all the best for him. I hope he goes out and does great over there. You know, I no bad feelings on the kid, but I'm super excited for this running back room. And I saw Melissa had asked, let me see. Thoughts on how soon Jordan Mason and Elijah Mitchell become the next great running back duo that takes the lead by storm. When I made my first, you know, prediction of what the roster was going to be or whatnot, I didn't have Jeff Wilson making the team. And I had left out Jeff Wilson and Hasty for the reasons that, like I just had said, I didn't think that they would actually get rid of Sermon. And I wanted to keep Mason. So obviously, you know, that left Jeff Wilson out. And I'm not a fan of Jeff Wilson. I don't know. I won't say I'm not a fan of him, but his running style is just, everybody's like, he runs tough. Well, he's never out there to run tough. You know, that's the problem. Like, I feel like he's always hurt. He's, you know, it's like, I don't know. He's just not my favorite, you know, nothing personal, but I love the way that Mason and TDP run. Like, the TDP's running style is how, like, Frank Gore-ish to me, you know, like, he's going to get in there and fucking bulldoze his way through. You know, you think that he's stopped and that the line has him stopped right there. And then all of a sudden you see him breaking out, you know, from in between everybody. Like, I love that. And it seems like Mason has that too, where he's just going to get in there, like, ground and pound, you know, like, he ain't scared to get hit. He's going to freaking just bust through. And, like, I love the way those two run. I think TDP is going to be great. So I'm personally not going to say Jordan Mason and Elijah Mitchell are going to be the duo because, I think TDP is going to be great. And at this point, I mean, is Elijah Mitchell going to be healthy long enough to be a great half of a duo? You know, like, I mean, up until this point, he hasn't showed us that he can. So that's my thoughts on it. However, you know, I think that this running back room is great all the way around. I think that we have, you know, like the fast guy with Mitchell, the bruisers, the guys that can catch out of the backfield and Mason. So I think this is the most complete running back room that we've had probably since Shanahan's taken over this team.
Really quick, I want to go back to what you were saying about John Lynch. Sorry. Did you say he said something about not holding on to players, or what's up, TL?
Yeah. Hey, TL.
Yeah, TL's
yeah,
awesome,
he
man.
said that some teams, they'll hold on to players too long because of where they were drafted. You know, like if they were drafted high, like that teams will just keep them on the team even though, you know, they're not performing to, you know, the level they should be just because of their draft status.
He shouldn't be talking about holding on to players as we hold on to Jimmy way too long. So.
And still,
I know we didn't draft him, but still, but yeah,
but
as far as the running backs go, Melissa, how you doing? I'm going to reserve my judgment. I love the burst that I saw from Mason in the preseason, but my problem is that they barely had him up there, maybe against the second stringer. Maybe one game, the last game, they brought him in a little earlier, but they kind of had him in towards the end of games. I mean, I'm talking like 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter. They had Jordan Mason in there. So it's like, okay, who's he running against? You know, it's like, but I did like the burst that I saw from him. Hopefully, we'll see. I'm not going to. Sure, there's potential there. Obviously, I like his potential. As far as being great, it's too soon for me to say that. Obviously, Elijah Mitchell was awesome last year, and I heard he looked even more explosive this year in camp. I know you guys met him at that draft party, and you guys were telling me that he said he put on some muscle. Maybe I added on 10 pounds of muscle. And just from somebody that saw him at camp, I just heard that he looked pretty explosive. So I'm excited to see what he can do. Obviously, you mentioned it, and we all mentioned it. Just like Jeff Wilson, the biggest question is injuries. Where do I stand with Jeff Wilson? I liked him a whole lot in 2020 because he had this hard, tough running style. It was almost like a fullback running style. And but I just wasn't. I just kind of lost. He kind of lost. I've kind of lost. I don't know, man. I can't even think about how I want to say it, but I just think Wilson, he performs okay on the field, but it's like everything with him is kind of lackluster. It's like I just feel like he can be replaced. If there's a better guy to replace him, why not? We thought maybe Trey Sermon might be that guy, but didn't seem like it. Maybe TDP, but it just wouldn't surprise me if a better guy like TDP or Mason stepped up and supplanted Jeff Wilson Jr. But not saying he's a bad player, but I just think we could do better at the same time.
I'm not thinking Elijah Mitchell's going to fail or he's not going to be great. Like, that's not what I'm saying. I just don't think you should be counting out TDP. That's my thoughts. Like, I just don't think it's just going to be a Elijah Mitchell and Mason thing. Like, we have a great running back room all around. So there's nothing to prove me hella wrong. You don't need to be yelling at me in all caps and shit. Like, I met the guy. Like, I have his fucking autograph hanging on my wall. There's no bad that I feel against Elijah Mitchell. Okay.
One thing that's really important, my assumption is that Jeff Wilson Jr. might be the best at doing this. Supposedly Trey Sermon was good at doing this too, but I haven't seen these guys on the field long enough to compare them. But one thing that Kyle Shanahan loves, and one thing that the running back coaches love in general, and this kind of says how long you're going to be out there on the field, is which of these running backs can pick up blitzes properly too. That's really important for this offense. So I'm going to be curious to see that during the season. I'll be looking out. I don't want to see these running backs mixing up blitz pickups and having Trey get hurt. I don't want to see that. So
yeah. And then Hasty, he signed where? Like, he got picked up by Jacksonville?
Jacksonville Jaguars, yep.
That's sad. Poor Hasty.
He'll probably get a lot of run there, and it'll probably be good for him. He'll probably get some run there and make more money. I mean,
yeah, I think him and they have ETN, so obviously, ETN got hurt last year, his rookie year, so he looks to be, back healthy, so maybe they'll use them too as a 1-2 punch.
Well, they better not be a better duo than our duo that Melissa was talking about.
I doubt it. I don't know. Like Hasty, I felt like he did great in the preseason, and then we got to the regular season, and like last year, like I got so pissed off because Shanahan like would put Hasty out there every third down as a third down back, and it's like the first 25 times we threw to him on third down, the first span of games, it's like he either dropped it or Jimmy missed, and it's like, if it's not working, why do you keep putting him out there in that same situation? Like, I don't think Hasty's like role should be like a third down back to me. Like, I don't know. Like, he's just.
When we first picked him up in 2020, I forgot what game it was. It might have been Grant Cohn. Somebody put out some film, and they're like, wow, look at the way Jermichael Hasty runs his own running scheme. He's a mini Marshawn Lynch, and they were showing Jermichael Hasty bounce around in the holes in his own running scheme. And I love what I saw. I was like, damn, this guy looks like he's sick. We got ourselves a player. But ever since then, he's never looked like that same guy. And that was in the regular season when we had first put him in. I forgot what game it was, but yeah, he just doesn't look like that guy anymore. And I agree with you. I thought we overused him in those type of situations as well, to the point where it got predictable. And we all remember the last time we tried to throw him to him in a game. But maybe that wasn't his fault, Jimmy. Oh my gosh.
Sean says he calls TDP TP, like toilet paper. I think TP is going to take care of all our dirty work. It does in my household.
Toilet dirty paper? I don't know.
Toilet dirty
That's
paper.
Bad.
Yeah. Let's do a giveaway. We got 18 people here.
You want to do the duck race this time, or? I know. Well, we can't do a duck race with numbers. You do your number draw. That's cool.
Yeah, because then you have to type everybody's name in, right?
I think the same website can do a number draw though, but let me see if it does. But you can go ahead and tell them what to do.
All right, let's do a giveaway. Dave's already leading the charge. Enter your numbers 1 through 100 in the chat.
What are we giving away today?
We'll do cards. See what we got.
Do you have a Danny Gray?
Get the hell out of here. I do have some Danny Gray, I think, in the mail.
Oh, okay.
I might have one in here actually already.
You know Danny Gray changed his jersey number, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of guys that change their jersey. We do. I feel like we do this more than other teams too. Like, and it'll be like towards like the end of the preseason, which makes sense because there's cuts that happen and all that other crap, you know. And then all of a sudden you wake up one day and it's like, oh, well, Talanoa Hufanga is now number 30, and Danny Gray is now number 6.
C. Ward changed his as well from 35 to 7.
There you go. He's wearing Kaepernick's number and Senfeld's number,
and that's the jersey I was planning to get. You know, once I could save up some money this year. After, you know, if I ever can get a Trey Lance one, obviously that's my first one. But because 35 is like my number, you know, always been my number since I was young. So I'm like, okay, finally we have a good player that, you know, is wearing 35. And then he changes his number right away. Like, okay, well, there goes that idea.
I found the website where you can do the random number generators if you want to share your screen and do it. I'm going to test it out right now, see if it works good. I'm just testing it on my browser. It's kind of a...
Joe's coming back week 6. Who the hell's Joe?
Joe's coming back week 6. Who's he talking about?
Joe Mama.
Oh my gosh.
Yay, nice, Dave. Hopefully I can get one Sunday. Is this supposed to be like Charlie Tuna?
Oh, that's Charlie Tuna. I know who that is. He's on my Facebook. Yeah, his little nickname. He's trying to go.
Try that pizza.
He's talking about my pizzas.
Yeah.
Bashar's pizzas. Bashar's pizzas look slamming, y'all. What's up, dude? I know who you are, man. How you doing, man? Yeah, I've known this guy for a long, long time. Cool dude.
You should start doing some pizza giveaways on your channel.
I wish there was a way to do that. I wish there was a way to do that on here. Oh gosh. You know, I found that random that number generator thingy on here. I'm trying to test it now. If you want me to, if it works good, I can share my screen and do it. I'll see if this works good or not. Now this site is tricky. This is one of those BS websites where if you click on the wrong thing, it just gives you a stupid pop-up. I'm trying to figure out how to start. Okay, here you go.
Trying to send me viruses while I'm trying to do giveaways.
Yeah, well, it's giving me viruses on my computer right now. I'm the guinea pig here because I'm testing the shit out. Yeah, I think I'm going to refrain for this because it keeps. Oh, here you go. This is how you do it. Okay, it's actually pretty cool. But you know, I think I have to set what numbers because it's going to be a number from 1 through 100, right?
Yep.
Okay. Let's see. Use a number. I don't know. Maybe we'll just go with your cell phone. I think I don't know how to set this shit.
Oh, Joe Mahoney says John V is talking about me, fool, because of my Facebook post.
I found it. It's 1 through 100, right?
Yeah.
Whenever you're ready, I can share my screen to do it.
You guys got your numbers in?
Yeah, whenever you're ready, I'll share my screen and we can do the number generator.
Bashar's going to handle it so he can get the viruses. John V said randomnumber.org.
Oh, there's a website called I'm on the Duck Hunt web, the Duck Race website.
All right, I think they have plenty of enough time.
Okay, well, whenever you're ready, I'll share my screen.
Go ahead.
Okay, cool. So it'll give you the prompt to do it, and I'll let you know in just a second. Here we go. And all right, so you guys ready?
Do I just add to stream?
Yeah, add to stream. Mm-hmm. It'll say 75 on there, but I'm gonna press it and it's gonna start a new thing. So you ready? I'm gonna click it and we'll go.
94.
94, Charles Haley.
94. Your mama.
It was Jordan Willis last year. Now he's number 75.
Let's see. Dang, everybody has low numbers. Let's see. 52, 68. John V,
you're the winner.
Wait, let me double check. Yeah, I think he has the highest number out of everybody.
Hey, congratulations, John V. Should I stop sharing?
Yeah.
There you go.
Yay. John B's trying to catch back up to Tia. Okay, well, your identity will go with the duck spash. What?
I don't know what he's talking about. Yeah.
John, have you been sipping? Are you sipping on something over there? Because you're acting a little cuckoo. First, you're in chat, like 10 hours early, yelling at everybody, asking where everybody's at. Now.
He was on here like 3 hours before we even started.
I know. Saying, where's everybody at? And then he's saying, hi, John, how are you? Oh, I'm good. Answering himself back like a crazy. All right, let's see what you got. Hopefully you don't get no Trey Sermon. There's some Trey Sermon in here.
Oh, there is a Trey Sermon in there. Oh, wow.
We'll have that as like the whammy.
Yeah, if you know Big Play Slays, we could give that to him. He's an Eagles fan.
If you have a bag here already started and you pull a Trey Sermon, then you lose everything in your giveaway bag. It's gonna be the whammy. Hey, Beto. Trey Sermon.
No way. Just gonna. I think. Are you gonna do another draw or what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brandon Ayuk.
There you go. Number 11.
I just put this one in today. Let me put on some real light. Congrats. I'll still give you the Trey Sermon too. Because I don't want it.
And for those who are curious about the New Jersey numbers, I'm gonna read them off to you guys. So Charvarius Ward, who wants to be called Mooney. I don't know why he wants to be called Mooney, but wants to be called Mooney Ward. He used to wear number 35, now he wears number 7. Danny Gray, number 80, was number 86. Some people already bought his jerseys, but he's gonna be number 6. Tyler Croft was number 47. Now he's number 81. Brock Purdy was number 14, and now he's number 13. And Jordan Mason, who was number 41, is now number 24. And I thought I heard something about Hufanga too, if I'm not mistaken. I'll clarify that one really quick for you guys, just out of curiosity.
I'm glad that what's his face, Danny Gray.
What about him?
I'm glad he changed his number.
Oh, really? Why's that?
Because that other number looked ugly. 86 or whatever. That looks ridiculous on a wide receiver.
Yeah, so I saw it somewhere, and I see it again on Twitter now about Hufanga going to number 30. I'm not sure if that's true or not, but I believe George Odom was wearing number 30 in preseason. So I just don't see a definite, validation of that just yet on Twitter. I'm looking. Let me ask you this, because I see Jaquaski Tart's name popped up on it, and I'm just curious where you stand with Jaquaski Tart, because obviously he got released by the Eagles, and well, would you be okay with him coming back, or where do you stand with Jaquaski Tart in general? Jaquaski Tart, not Start.
I personally do not want him back. I've never been like, I feel like when it comes to Tart, and even, Jimmy Ward for the longest time, there was like two sides. They're like the fan base either hated him, part of the fan base, or loved him. Like the people always, would stick up for Tart, like, oh, people don't give him enough credit for what they do in this defense and blah, blah, blah. And then the other part's like, well, he don't make enough plays. He don't get no, interceptions, blah, 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 So I've never really been on either side. I just feel like his stay, he wore out his welcome. Like, I don't know. Like, I just felt like it was time for him to go. I feel like bringing him back, I don't know. Like, who knows, though? Because this team, obviously they do weird shit because, look at Jimmy. But I just feel like it's weird to bring him back. Like he got in beefs with like all these people on Twitter. Like it just seems like things like soured, like they talked about how the organization didn't like give him a goodbye presser or a goodbye interview. I mean, like, when he left, even though he had been at the organization all these years. Like I heard like something the dynamics like between him and like Hufanga last year were not, you know, all too great. So like, I don't know. I just feel like things were weird with him, and I feel like during the off season, like him going after the fans, and like it's just like so much drama. I feel like we do need to, I don't know if they're just going to bring up somebody, you know, we have a couple safeties on the practice squad because right now we only have 3 safeties on the team. So they do need to bring up somebody, you know.
Tayshaun Gibson, maybe.
Yeah. I would rather just, you know, stick with one of those guys, somebody that we have, Timor, whatever. And hopefully, you know, with the corners being back and whatnot, you know, they'll be able to scheme, you know, around that weakness, hopefully. But I don't know. I'm not too big on bringing Tart back.
Yeah, and well, if they did have a presser for him, I wouldn't have watched it anyways. But that's another story. I just well, and it's funny because back to pressers and John Lynch and Kyle, and people like I remember me and you were talking about pressers and how you watch them and I don't, and I was just telling somebody the other day, like, you know, like this. Oh man, I'm so mad because John Lynch said this, and then 2 weeks later he said something else, or I'm so mad because Kyle Shanahan said this, and a month later he said something else. I'm like, look, man, I've been watching this team regardless of what regime we have. Whoever's up at that podium will say some shit, and then like a month later, it's something completely different. That's why I don't even bother watching these guys. They're like politicians who lie their asses off all the damn time anyways. But back to Tart, Joey says no Tart. What the fuck, man? I brought up as a question. I've kind of been on the fence about Tart, just a little bit in the middle, you could say. You know, sure, he has some good qualities. He knows for a safety who plays at strong safety, he is somewhat interchangeable. He can actually play pretty decent man coverage. He can hit fairly hard and tackle fairly well. Problem is, how often is he ever on the field? You know, he gets hurt a lot. So, you know, he never, minus that one-handed interception that they used to replay about 50,000 times when he first started off with his team. He made that nice one-handed pick. You know, what memorable play do we really have with Jaquaski Tart on his resume as a San Francisco 49er? Not too many.
No.
Maybe the play where he snatched the ball away from DK Metcalf. That was cool. But in any case, you know, I mean, once he got released, I was like, oh, watch, I bet the 49ers are going to pick him up. And if they did, I'd be like, okay, whatever. But at the same time, though, I really, really hope Hufanga, I think Hufanga, I don't know, man. He's a very likable person in general, but watching, when I first heard about him at USC, I heard the guy can hit. I heard he just has his instinct, instinctual thing about him. And when I've seen him out there, I just know that he just has a knack for the big play and he wants to make the big play. And obviously he's not the fastest guy, but I just think certain guys, and it helps that he was mentored by Troy Polamalu, obviously, but certain guys just have that ability to play a little bit better than their 40 time dictates. You know, if you know where certain things are going to happen before ahead of time, or if you just have the feeling, the instincts, again, you just have a certain feeling or a certain nose for the ball. Speed isn't always the end all be all when it comes to that type of stuff. You know, your lack of speed may not be all that bad because you know where things are going to be. So hopefully Hufanga flourishes in this role. And, you know, if they bring Tart as a backup policy, I'm not going to, you know, get mad about it. I'm like, whatever, probably on a 1-year deal anyways. But, you know, sure, it didn't look too great when, and I mentioned the whole, where's Tart's highlight reel. The unfortunate thing is his recent highlight reel is him dropping that would-be interception against the Rams. So that's just is what it is with Tart. So, and something tells me he probably wouldn't want to come back. But I didn't even know about these whole Twitter beefs that you were saying. I didn't know that he didn't really get along with Hufanga too well. I didn't know any of that stuff. So it is what it is. Let me see what's up to Rick Diaz in the chat. He's a good dude. Know who that is. And that's about it.
Hey, Rick. John V, go listen to the Lynch and Peters presser on either Grant's channel or what's his face? Jackhammers, because since they're like on the side asking the questions, like they're videoing it with their phones, so you can hear the questions better and on their versions of it.
Let's hear my eyes and ears. What did they talk about on this thing?
They just talked about, obviously, you know, about Trey Sermon, and then they talked about Poe. John Lynch, you know, that's pretty much like the person that they had to cut that they are the most worried about losing to, you know, on waivers was Poe. So they were glad, you know, obviously to have him back. They talked about, what else did they talk about? Just the 53. They talked about Dante Johnson always getting cut, and
I don't even mind Dante Johnson all that much. I mean, when they tried to challenge him in that Green Bay Packer game, he stepped up to the plate. He didn't look bad at all. So if it's sincere and he's truly better than certain players that we bring in, and he's able to find a way to stick around, so be it. I mean, if he's the 5th or 6th option at defensive back, whatever. I know we brought Quantrez Knight back on the practice squad, which is cool. So that's cool. Jason Poe, though, that's awesome. We lucked out on that one because I knew we were like 29th down the totem pole on the freaking waiver wire. And I'm saying freaking now, guys, just so no kids get harmed in this. But yeah, I mean, we lucked out. I mean, Poe looked really nice at times. Sure, he wasn't perfect. There were times where his man beat him, but he looked like he had some nice potential. And it would have been really stupid for an offensive line needy team to just let a talent like that go. I don't care if he wasn't drafted. You pick up a talent like that, you find a way to keep him around. Speaking of another undrafted guy that we who I had high hopes for, was Donovan West, the center, who was actually supposed to be a 3rd or 4th round draft pick. I believe we let him go. We never brought him back.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought we'd keep him around him and develop him, but I guess not. I'm not sure if he even went to another team. So
I hadn't seen that he did.
Yeah, he didn't look too impressive. I mean, from what I saw, but I just thought, I knew he was pretty good at Arizona State, and I just thought he'd be a good young guy to keep around to try to groom at center, but looks like that's not happening. And David Edmondson, I know you're in the chat, and I know you guys had interviewed Jason Poe on Real Talk Night Talk. I think you said something about wanting to get his jersey, so I'm not sure if that ever happened or if it's going to happen. 49ers throwback, thank you. We did pick up Blake Hance on the offensive line. Yes, we did yesterday. We have him. We have him on the 53-man roster. Actually, he's actually shown some good ability as a starter. They played him at left tackle. He can play every 5 position actually, and he started, I believe, 8 games last year. And I saw one play where he was against the San Diego Chargers, and he tossed freaking Joey Bosa around. Not sure what the other reps looked like, but at least on that one particular rep, it looked good. It's like, okay, that's Bosa. I mean,
at least he has one play for the highlight reel.
He can show his grandkids later, in the future. Hey, look, this is me. Have you ever heard of Joey Bosa? That's me knocking them down. But wait, did Melissa just say Sutherland is back? Are you serious? That guy's so trash.
Yeah, I don't understand that shit. Yeah. They said, they did talk about Blake Hance in the presser this morning too. And they said their whole thing with bringing him back was pretty much because, he can play everywhere across the line. Center, tackle, guard. He's played all of it, in the NFL. So, you know how they are about those kind of guys.
They're saying he's kind of like a Brunskill, but I think he's
I think so too.
He might be a better version of a Brunskill, at least hopefully.
Hopefully. he has a better name, not Bumskill. No skill.
People used to tell me that I look like Brunskill too. Like, oh, you look like Brian Brunskill. I was like, did you come up with a player who's actually better than that? Like, please do something for my ego.
Miliano says, I always thought West looked too stiff off the snap. So during the draft, I wasn't surprised what West kept dropping. And, leading up to the draft, and you talked about like everybody had him like 3rd, 4th round grade, and during the draft, like that was one of the surprising things, you kept seeing them drop further and further and further and further, and then to go undrafted. And, I kept saying like, it has to be something that, that's going to come out, maybe something, like something that nobody saw, like why did he keep dropping? There has to be something that happened. And then now to see, us release him and no other team, try to even pick him up right away. Somebody may have signed him by now. I don't know. But last time I had checked, nobody had. And it's maybe
his draft stock was overhyped. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. It's crazy to see somebody, and if that's the case, somebody to be hyped up that much and to just plummet like.
Yeah,
one thing sitting on the couch.
One thing about him, I was talking to Swan Song about him, and he's like, "Oh man, if you watch Donovan West run his 40 time, you might get a better idea of why he's not really an NFL guy just yet. I'm like, what do you mean? And he's like, yeah, man. Well, you just see him. He doesn't look like he has an NFL body. So when I clicked and I watched Donovan West 40 time, the way he ran the 40, it kind of looked like one of those uncoordinated elementary school kids running a 40-yard dash. So I was like, oh, okay. Now I kind of see what you mean. And it's one of those things that you see that you can't unsee. You're like, oh my gosh. It's kind of funny. It's kind of, I didn't expect it to be funny, but it's kind of funny. But Swan Song was also saying that he's like, if you look at his body type, and he's kind of right. He says he doesn't really necessarily have the NFL type body just yet. So maybe if he gets in an NFL weight room, he can develop himself. But it looks like he's not going to be coming back anyway. So we cut Jordan Mills too, right? He was supposed to be some guy that we picked up, and he had all this starting experience with the Chicago Bears, and
he looked like a bum.
It seemed like we were bringing it's like they're like, oh well, we're bringing this guy with starting right tackle experience, and you know McGlinchey's ever hurt, he can step right in, and who knows, he might be able to beat out McGlinchey. And they said the first day we bring him in, he's beating everybody in a one-on-ones. You know, on the one-on-one drills, he's beating everybody. I'm like, okay, wow, I gotta see this guy. First preseason game against Minnesota Vikings, he just totally whiffs the block like he's a matador with a freaking Spanish bull. I'm like, I hope it gets better from here on out, and it didn't. It did not get better. They let him go, which sucks. But we got that Hentz guy, so who knows? Maybe we have a decent backup who could possibly start a few games and look decent at it. Who knows?
Yeah, Sean says, I'm so sick of hearing porn star Jimmy's conference interviews. It's like real life Groundhog Day. The last time we saw him,
you pick up the acronym PSJ. I didn't know what he meant
because I always see him type that.
Oh, okay, that's fine. My bad.
The last time we saw him, talk to the media, he was saying goodbyes and it was nice, working with you guys and blah blah blah. And then he walks into the presser today like, I'm back. Like, oh my god, like, no.
Niner Sickness said, Bashar, I love the t-shirt, brother. This is from Forever Faithful Aztec. I've been wearing it long because I just love this shirt. It's got all 5 Super Bowl rings. If you want to check out this guy's t-shirts. His name's Ray Pena, the Eye of the Niner. Go on Instagram page, Forever Faithful Azteca, like the Aztecs. It's an Aztec pyramid with the I'm not obviously of Mexican descent, but I just think it's an awesome shirt. And it's a cool shirt for anybody to get. And he has all kinds of merchandise on his Instagram page if you check him out.
Does it have a face like on the?
It's got a face. It's hard to tell. Okay, it's like a skull. It's like a skull, and in the eyes, it has the SF logo in each eye.
Right.
It looks really cool if you see it in person. Yeah.
I didn't see that last time, like that face part on it, because it was like further away. It's pretty cool. Let's do another giveaway and then we'll get out of here.
All right.
You have anything else you want to talk about?
Anything else I want to talk about? What we got going on?
Enter your numbers, guys.
I'm happy we brought McCreary Ball back. That was nice. When I first saw that we cut him, I was like, "What's this team doing? Like, what are we?" I tried not to get too angry about it because I was like, "Oh, whatever. Maybe we bring him back anyways." And lo and behold, we brought him back. I'm like, "Okay, cool. We got him back." I'm not gonna. I love our depth at the linebacker position. Obviously, I love the linebacker group, the linebacker room in general. And whenever you're ready, I can share my screen. So just let me know I have it set up.
Okay. He's one of them that I was upset, with the initial, releases, waves, whatever. Whereas obviously Poe was the one I was most upset about. Then McCreary Ball. I like Tay Martin. Like, I knew that he wasn't ready, obviously, to play right away this season. But like, I felt like, if we could have got him to the practice squad, that maybe, next season or maybe the end of this season, whatever, that he could contribute. So I was upset, but all 3 of them we got back. There was one more that I was really pissed off about at first, but we got him back.
If anybody has any questions in the meantime, we can answer a couple questions too. Why not?
Kamiko Toure. I was pissed. I was so pissed that they had cut him at first. And then he said goodbye, like he put out that tweet, like, I don't normally tweet, but like this was such a great, organization. And he just joined the team, like it's like the goodbye to the faithful and whatever. So I'm like, oh, he's not coming back. And then so for him to actually, come back and sign to the practice squad, I was surprised with that. John Lynch, they talked about that as well this morning, that, they were so grateful that they were able, that he came back and signed with the practice squad, being a vet and everything,
How did I forget that? And that we were that was might have been the main one that I was mad about.
Yeah.
Because you know why? Because well, in general, I just liked what he did on the field. He looked really good. The pass rushers are hard to come by. Sure, we drafted Drake Jackson, but it would be great in a great insurance policy to have a guy like him come off the bench. And he was looking good. He looked like he was even making good plays against the run. And it was kind of funny because I had a bet with somebody that because we brought in Drake Jackson, Kamoko Toure, and we already had other guys to fill in, that I thought Kerry Hyder wasn't going to make the team. And lo and behold, I lost a bet that Kerry Hyder made the team. And then we cut Toure. I was like, damn, that sucks. I thought we were going to at least keep that guy. But cool that we at least got him back he's on the practice squad, right? So that's cool. It's a good insurance policy in case somebody gets hurt. And whenever you're ready, I can share my screen. I don't know if everybody dropped their numbers, but 1 through 100.
Drop your numbers in the chat, 1 through 100, everybody. I had seen. Oh, David says, was keeping Jimmy G a waste of a roster spot? And like that's the thing that kept pissing me off as I'm watching all these players get cut and waived that I was hoping would be on the team. Is that obviously the whole us signing him back as the backup already had pissed me off enough, but then to see when they were keeping. I was like, okay, well, they'll just keep Trey and Jimmy then as the only 2 quarterbacks, and then try to get, what's his nuts back to the practice squad. But then when they, it came out that they were keeping 3 quarterbacks on the active roster, it's like, so we're going to watch these guys that could potentially help this team, maybe this year, maybe not this year, but, in the future, next year, the next 3 years, whatever. And yet, we're losing them because you're having this bum on the team taking up a roster spot and he's going to be off the team next year. Like he's not a part of this team moving forward in the future. He's not a part of the future plans of this team. So we're going to, miss out and lose pieces that's going to help this team in the future because you're keeping on to this guy because you didn't want to cut him and have some other team pick him up.
I just think it's so lame and counterproductive in today's NFL to keep 3. Is what's his name? Brock Purdy still on the actual 53 man? So we're keeping 3 quarterbacks on this roster on a team where we need important players at whatever skill positions you can think of. And, we're so lucky, we're so fortunate that some of these guys, swallowed their pride and came back to our practice squad. Kamoko Toure and I think Malik Turner actually came back as well.
Yep.
So we're really lucky to have those guys stick around for us. They must really love the camaraderie. They must really like certain things about the organization and the locker room. They must really like Trey, who is our quarterback, in case anybody's watching. But yeah, so we are kind of lucking out in that regard. But at the end of the day, I never want to keep 3 quarterbacks, and especially if one of them's Jimmy.
Good night, Sean. Much love, brother. Be safe.
Whenever you're ready, I can share the screen. I think we have all the numbers dropped.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so I'm going to share my screen in just a second, and you'll get the invite for it. Hold up. Here we go. So it's not number 79. I'm going to click on it, and we're going to generate a number right now. Okay, guys? So here we go.
And let me put it.
Oh. Good old number 10.
I think it was, who was it? I think Throwback kept telling Dave to
Joey Arredondo got number 8. I don't know if anybody else got anything closer. It might be Joey Arredondo.
Let's see.
Oh, it's funny because Joey Mahoney said Dave picked 10.
Yeah.
It might be Joey Arredondo. Well, Brian Culp had 3. And then David Edmondson picked 13. Yeah, I think it's Joey Arredondo at number 8.
Yep.
There you go. You're the big winner.
Joey comes in and wins right away.
For the 49ers Hive.
The number's 10, so 3 is not closer than 8.
For those of us who did well in math.
Like, I'm no math genius, but that's an easy one.
Congratulations, Joey. Yeah.
Look at Sean.
I'll never think of the number 10 anywhere the same. So
I think who wore 10? Wasn't somebody shitty that wore 10 before Jimmy too?
Oh, there must have been. I'm just blanking on the names. I remember Klaus Wilmsmeyer, one of our punters in the early 90s, wore number 10. I'd have to look up which way there. Oh,
I thought like
Kyle Williams, didn't he?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Kyle Williams. Once it says thank you. I knew it was somebody that there was some freaking reason why we didn't like Ted even prior to Jimmy, and now it's even worse. Like, can we just like retire the number 10 to the trash can? Dave says 10 should be banned. Hey, Kenny, we're about to head out of here, but we appreciate you stopping by. Let's see what you got.
Let's see what he won.
Hopefully, no Trey Sermon.
This Trey Sermon will do a redraw.
It is Deion Sanders.
Deion Sanders, Neon Deion. Congratulations. There you go. The guy who only played one season for us, but hey, we won a Super Bowl, right?
Yep. Congrats.
Congratulations. There's Swan Song. What's up? I referenced you earlier. I'm not sure if you caught it.
Prime time. Joey walks through the door and takes home prizes.
There you go. You're just giving prizes away.
That's what we do around here.
Hey, for those of you who are not subscribed to this channel, this is one of my favorite 49er channels to watch. It's up there. It's definitely up there. TL is an excellent co-host along with Miriah, the host. And I'm doing, I'm having fun here substituting for TL. But when you watch them on a regular, it's awesome. It's a lot of fun. And subscribe to this channel if you're not subscribed. They're giving away prizes and they're doing a lot of things other channels don't do. And if you want to drop a donation, there's the Cash App and Venmo. I believe, do you have it in the description box there, Miriah? I know you have the information on the top of the screen. They can look at the things and see it right there. But yeah, show them some love,
Appreciate it. Before we get out of here, why don't you let everybody know where to find you as well? And I have his info in the description as well.
Yeah, it's pretty easy to find me. If you're on Twitter, just do @49erminded. If you're on Facebook, look up the 49er Minded Facebook group. You can find me on Instagram. Just type in 49er Minded. We do a lot of fun things. I'm going to try to be on there at least twice a week this season, hopefully. Usually I go on about once a week this time of year, and the shows will be increasing without a doubt. We're gonna, I've had Miriah on there, had TL on there. I'm gonna try to do a show where I have both of them on there. So that'd be really interesting and a lot of fun. And just check it out,
Yeah, anytime.
And another thing, if you guys are attending the Week 2 game against the Seattle Seahawks at Levi's, the home opener, I'll be there in attendance. There's going to be a party. It's called, I'm going to post the information for it on my social media. It's going to be a big meet and greet. A lot of the 49er rappers are going to be there. If you guys see those guys on my channel, you know who they are. Ray Pena, the Eye of the Niners, organizing it. It's his birthday party. So, get with me on social media, and then you'll see the information for that. It's the night before the week opener. It'll be September 17th. And we're all going to meet up at this bar called Metro City, I believe. It's a bar/restaurant. So it's going to be a lot of fun with raffles, prizes, DJs, music, just a great meet and greet. I know Nick from Nothing But Niners is going to be there, and it should be a lot of fun. There might be some other content creators as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. Before we go out, we'll answer Melissa's last question here. And I know the question before this was how many touchdowns do I think Ayuk gets in week 1? I would like to say, like 2, 3, but I think, and watching Trey Lance in college and up until this point, he seems like somebody that likes to spread the ball around. And I do think that, obviously they'll be running the ball a lot. So I'm going to say that Ayuk gets 1, but of course I would love for him to have more than that. And then she asks, Minded, what's your star 49ers wide receiver and dark horse wide receiver? We know Mariah's star is Brandon. Curious who her dark horse is.
All right, so star is going to be Ayuk, but my dark horse is going to be Danny Gray. So I think Danny Gray paired with Trey Lance's strong, amazing arm is going to lead to a lot of fun here. And on top of that, Shanahan can scheme the run after the catch, yak yardage plays, rack yardage plays, whatever you want to call them. And he can scheme those for Danny Gray as well. You might see him on some jet sweeps, some end around type plays as well. So I just think it's going to be a lot of fun seeing him in our offense.
Yep. I am as well going with Danny Gray. I think, from what we've seen when they've been in the game together during preseason so far, seems like that they're building that chemistry there. And like you said, obviously with his speed and Trey's arm, that's a lethal combination there. So hopefully we see that taken advantage of throughout the season. And I think as the season goes, obviously we'll see Danny Gray inserted into the offense more. I think, the more as to with Shanahan, how he feels about rookies and stuff. I think the more that we see Danny Gray get in there and he can build, that, show Shanahan like I'm that guy, and Shanahan can get some confidence in him. We'll start seeing Danny Gray a lot more as well. But yeah, I appreciate everybody who hung out with us. You guys are wonderful as always. Please hit that like, subscribe. Please go subscribe to Bashar if you're not already. Bash, I appreciate you filling in, doing this show last minute with me. As always, you're wonderful, wonderful, wonderful human. I appreciate you. You're a great friend. I love you, brother. Anytime you want us on your show, we're there.
Oh yeah, I appreciate it. It's been a lot of fun and hope to be back on here sometime in the future whenever that happens, and hope to collab with you guys on my channel again too. It's been excellent.
All right, fam. Everybody stay safe. Have a great night. I appreciate you guys all checking in with us, even though this show is later than usual. But yeah, we'll see you guys sometime next week, I'm sure. Much love, fam.